There we go. Welcome, everybody. Friday, June 7th. John Aravosis here. Hey, guys. Welcome to the show. As always, I'm waiting for the dog to come in. I'm going to get, you can see her walking around outside. Do I need to shut the curtain? Maybe not. No, probably not. Okay. I want to make sure there's not too much light coming in. Anyway, hello, guys. Let me get TikTok rolling here, and we can get going. Ooh. Tried to take a nap. It didn't work, so I'm a little tired. But he's okay. He's okay. There's TikTok. Hang on here. Oops. Mirror video. There we go. Boom. All right. Woo. Excellent. Hello, everybody on TikTok. How are you guys doing? YouTubers. Hey, guys. Thank you, Bryce, for the gift. How we actually, I may need to turn my air on. I forgot when I leave the curtain open like this, it brings more heat in the room. Alexa, lower the temperature 1 degree. Thank you, Succeed, for the gift.
AC is set to 76.
All right, AC set to 76. All righty. Anyway, welcome, guys. As always, see Big Hawk. TikTok tried to censor your comment, thinking you were being creepy. I brought it back. Anyway. Welcome, everybody. How are we doing? 115 in Vegas. Ugh, I know it's like 110 out in Phoenix, where my other nephew lives. Nasty. Although you guys have a dry heat, right? So it's less nasty. I remember Vegas being like maybe 100 or something, but I was wearing like a long sleeve shirt and pants and thought I was going to die. Thank you, Derek. Except the temperature wasn't bad. Because like in Washington, I would be dead if it was in the 90s and I had like long pants and a long sleeve shirt on. Thank you, Ellie. But it was very comfortable, which was very strange. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Eva. Happy Friday to you. War with the U.S. and Russia. I would think if there were war right now between the U.S. and Russia, you would know it. You wouldn't have to ask me. So no. There is no war between the U.S. and Russia. And there won't be, because the U.S. will destroy Russia if there's a war, and the Russians know it, and they're terrified of us. So not going to happen. Thank you, Brash. Okay, and now my dog is eating sticks. I know she is. Sasha, come on. Sasha. Let's go. I know. When my dog disappears, she's eating sticks. Thank you, Bash. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Elizabeth. Anyway, hello, all. How are we doing today? Woo, it is Friday. Remember, tomorrow is our coffee talk. So tomorrow morning, thank you, Pizdolis. Good to see you. Thank you, Marge. Tomorrow's a coffee talk, which we do our weekly get together of the monthly subscribers on TikTok and YouTube. The monthly folks are the folks who very generously donate with a monthly donation on TikTok. That's all of you that have SNN next to your name. You'll see the guys, Ash and Marcy and others. Thank you, Larissa and Pedro, for the gifts. On YouTube, it's all the green named folk. There's lots of you here today. Andre, WC, Linda, Polly, James, Gunther, WC, Bjorn. All of you guys, Anthony in Ireland as well. But anybody who's a monthly subscriber, if you're around, join us tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time, U.S. That's Washington, D.C. or New York City time, where I hang out with you guys. It's kind of fun. Vlad often joins us. I always have to give my heads up in advance. I keep forgetting. I've got to message Vlad in advance. But we just hang out and talk, and it's a nice group because it's a much smaller group. It's only for the paid monthly subscribers, so we're able to really hang out and talk, which is nice. I can sort of see all your questions and comments, and it's not as busy as it is sort of during the show here, where, I try to see your comments and stuff, but when I'm in the middle of the show, it's hard to see them all. Whereas on the weekend I can, which is nice. So anyway, thank you. A quick glass of water. Who is that? Chazak? Chazak sent a gift, and Elizabeth as well. Thank you, Elizabeth. And Jamie. Just having a little bit of water and then we'll get rolling. I like ice water. I've always been curious, like, Americans are very big on ice in our water. And Europeans, I found that not as much. And Americans will always sort of go to European restaurants. Thank you, Fred. And it'll be the American going, can we have ice in our water? And they're always like, and I don't know what it is, like whether we just culturally got used to it. Because to me, regular water is okay. Ice water, oh my God, it just is so much more refreshing. But I don't know what it is that does that. You know what I mean? Like what makes it so much more refreshing, at least to an American, if it's cold. Thank you, Vicky, for the heart. And thank you, James, for the gift on YouTube. Well, exactly. Americans don't drink beer warm either. Europeans drink beer warm. Now, do any Europeans drink beer cold? Thank you, Vicky. Are there any specific beers or any specific countries where you guys do that? Thank you, Marcy, for the gift. Because Americans are always surprised when they go to Europe and the beer is like literally room temperature, and it's like, I'm not a beer guy anyway, but I certainly don't like it room temperature. All right, you really want to go again? All right. Dog wants out again, which I'm letting her do, but I know her. She's going to eat a stick and keep me up all night. Sweden is beer cold. Oh, that's interesting. Really? Colder in Holland than the UK. Cold beer in Norway? That's very interesting. Very interesting. Scotland mostly cold. Okay. Thank you, Alan, for the gift. I did not know that. And thank you, Vicky, for the team bracelet. Yeah, Linda's saying the same thing. No warm beer in Sweden. There you go. Yeah, it's not hot beer, but it's just room temperature beer. I know a lot in Europe. I remember that being maybe because I was living in France. Maybe it's a French thing, but I remember it being, and actually even like Coca-Cola and stuff. Like I remember in Greece and stuff. It's like basically, like you get a Coke and it's kind of lukewarm. And I remember in Greece I had to learn the phrase like icy. I'm forgetting what it was to call it. My dryer's done. What it was to pagomeno maybe. Or is pagomeno just cold in Greek? No, Kyrio is cold. Pagomeno is kind of icy, I think. Because if you didn't say that, your Coca-Cola in Greece is going to be like, they put it in the freezer or the fridge for like 5 minutes and they think it's cold. Anyway, they put ice in the beer. I would do that. Thailand does that. I would totally do that. I would put ice in beer. I've put ice in, actually, in Paris. In Paris, I once had somebody put ice in wine, which, the French, even in America, not too many people do that. But, well, no, because it was actually a British friend of mine, she's lived there forever. But she was going with a French friend to the park and I ran into her and but I love this because this is classic Paris. They're going to the park, the Jardin de Luxembourg, which was near the place I was living. And it was a warm day in Paris, maybe 80 degrees or something. And they were bringing a bottle of white wine to the public park, which I love. They had many glasses and they had a little thing of ice for the wine. Now, my suspicion is the wine maybe wasn't cold enough because white wine you typically want chilled, but also because we were in a park and it was warm weather. I said, ice in the wine? And it was fun. She was like, yes. She goes, we do that here sometimes. It's like, it was good. It was very good, but I was very surprised. Anyway, welcome, guys. All right, we can get rolling here. Thank you, Cyril. So I am John Aravosis. This is the Aravosis Report. It's my nightly show I do Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern time, U.S., where we talk about the latest news from Ukraine. The way the show works is I go through the news for the first, I think tonight might be half hour or so. There isn't a ton of news today, really. Thank you, Cyril. I go through the news that I think is relevant, that gives you a sense of what's going on there in Ukraine. Thank you, Josh. And then I open up and take your questions. And we take, we can talk about really any news around the world. Thank you, Sakenas, for the donut, and Richard and Josh. Hello, Sweden, Tumba. You can ask me about other political stuff. American political stuff I know, but I may not necessarily know stuff from around the world, but you can try in the Q&A. You can try. Thank you for the subscriptions there. I'm going to guess, did somebody gift those subscriptions maybe? I see a number of subscriptions pop up. I'm guessing somebody gifted them. If somebody did, thank you. Actually, mods, if somebody saw who gifted it, let me know, because I think somebody did gift it since a number of people subscribed at once. But it never shows me when it does that. Thank you. Who's the Happy Friday? Thank you, Vicky, for the Happy Friday. Oh, it was Blue Ariel. Thank you, Blue Ariel. You're very sweet. You've done that before. I remember that. Thank you for that. And thank you, Sakenas, for the heart. All right, guys, let's get rolling here. So tomorrow morning, remember, we've got the, it was Blue Ariel, apparently. Tomorrow morning, we've got the Coffee Talk, 11 a.m. Eastern time for all the monthly subscribers. Join us. And otherwise, let's get rolling here, all right? I'm going to have a sip of water, and then we'll roll. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Kronos. All right. Hello, dog. Hi. The dog wants my attention. This is cute. Okay, hello. I've got to reach down and pet the dog as we're talking. Thank you, Julian. Anyway, I don't have my donkey handy. Where's my donkey? Hold on. I got him myself, Ash. I love the trolls. My favorite is the trolls who come and the guy goes, I don't care. It's like, well, dude, why are you here? That's the thing is they come and they hang out to show they're not interested. but they hang out and they join in and they watch the show because they're not interested. It's like, Russia does not send us their best, unfortunately. Thank you, Marge, for the donut, and Alan as well. All right, let's get rolling, guys. So President Macron in France made some news today. Thank you, Mustard. The French, he announced that actually several European countries have joined the French coalition to send military trainers to Ukraine. It was very interesting. He got asked basically, something about France and how they feel about sending trainers by themselves or whatever. And he said, we're not sending trainers alone. There are a number of other countries, European countries, joining us. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the gift. Very interesting. I thought that was really interesting. Now, I will say, previously, I think if Callum were here, I think Callum is still running around in love. But if Callum were here today, he would tell us that I believe the French leaked. Was it the French? I think it was the French. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Vicky. The French leaked a few months ago that there were other countries that had troops there. And presumably the troops were doing trainings, right? But I'm pretty sure. So I think we already knew this. In any case, it's still good news. It's very interesting news because it means that the Europeans are really stepping up now. And he was asked what was interesting. Thank you, Matt, or Nat, I should say Natatut for the hat. What was interesting is Macron was asked specifically about Putin and, aren't you worried about Putin's threats to do whatever if you send troops? Oh, because they threatened to, kill the French troops or some bullshit like that. If the French said troops and Macron responded, he goes, no, he said, we are France. We don't care. Basically we don't buckle to Russia's threats. It was very good. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Alex. So anyway, that was, and thank you, Natitude, for the rose. What else we got? This was interesting. Politico reports today, just a little bit of political intrigue. Let me read this to you. On a recent phone call with President Biden, French President Macron proposed sending Western forces into Ukraine to train troops in the war zone. So Macron had actually pitched Biden on this. Biden was not supportive. Big surprise. The American president expressed concern about the potential consequences of sending troops from any NATO country into a place where they could wind up in the line of fire and lead to an escalation of the conflict. This guy. Thank you, Lillian. And the worst part is this stuff always goes public and makes him look weak, right? If I'm Putin, I am reading that story and going, yes. And thank you, Sakinas, for subscribing. I am loving the fact that Biden said this, that basically Biden's staff is saying that, yeah, he's terrified. Mind you, Biden didn't say, according to the story, Biden didn't say if we send troops there, they could get killed. That would be a fair point to say, right? You're the American president or any president, right? And you have to worry that if you send troops, your troops could get killed. And that's something that every commander in chief should be worried about, right? The safety of their troops. That's not what he said. He said, paraphrasing, he's afraid, let me read this again. The potential consequences of sending troops from any NATO country into a place where they could wind up in the line of fire, hurt or killed, and lead to an escalation of the conflict. He's not necessarily worried about the troops. I mean, he's worried about the troops getting killed, but he's worried about the troops get killed and then I've got to respond and there's an escalation. Oh my God. You know what I mean? It's like, in other words, let's let Vladimir Putin dictate what we do. Let's let our fear of Putin dictate everything we do. Anyway, Bloomberg, Germany is considering sending a fourth Patriot air defense missile battery to Ukraine. Thank you, Encore. Very cool gift. The Adventures Encounter. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. That was a very nice gift. Thank you for that. I don't know. Amanda, you're there. I would say somebody's mentioning trolls, but I see Amanda's over at YouTube, so Amanda's got it covered. Let me see. Oh, Bloomberg, yeah. So Germany is considering sending a fourth Patriot air defense battery to Ukraine as allies struggle to deliver equipment that Zelensky needs to fend off a Russian assault. The Patriot battery would come on top of the three that Olaf Scholz's government has already pledged, including as recently as April. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Germany has sent two. Thank you, Jerry, on YouTube for becoming a subscriber. Join us tomorrow morning. Germany has sent 2 Patriot missile batteries. The third one, I don't think arrived yet, has it? And thank you again, whoever just bought 5 gift subscriptions for folks on TikTok. Again, tell me who it was. Maybe it was Ariel. Who was it? Because it never shows me who it is. Joe. Thank you, Joe. By the way, for TikTok folks, this means that you can join our weekend show. So feel free to join us tomorrow morning. It'll be 11 o'clock in the morning, Eastern time US. That's Washington, D.C. or New York City time. I will be live on TikTok, on YouTube, and on Discord, only for the monthly subscribers. If you want to. If not, don't worry about it. But it's kind of a fun crowd. You also get some emojis and stuff you can use and fun stuff like that. But thank you. That was very. Oh, you got one, Carl? Or Carrie? Oh, Carrie? I'm calling you Carl. I'm going to squint. Carrie. Without squinting, you're Carl. When I squint, you're Carrie. Anyway, so what else we got? Oh, so the fourth, yeah. So there's, as I recall, 2 of the Patriot missile batteries have arrived from Germany. The U.S. has 1 there. Thank you, Real Life, for the gift. Alan is subscribed as well. Thank you, Alan. So I think Germany's got 2 there. A third has been promised, and now they are considering sending a 4th. They're basically trying to sort of scrounge, I guess, whether I don't actually know what the calculus is about the final decision, but that's good. Just to remind you, the Netherlands also said in late May, Politico's reminding us, or Bloomberg's reminding us in late May, that it is launching an initiative to assemble a Patriot system from core components and stock parts donated from allies. Okay, this is actually more interesting. Thank you, Mikey. We heard about this before, and it wasn't clear whether the Netherlands was donating parts for the Patriot missile batteries, meaning like repair parts, right? If something goes wrong, in other words, not a whole new system. It sounds like from this article that the Netherlands, the Dutch, are trying to basically get spare parts from around Europe in order to create one entire new system, which would be pretty cool. So that's very neat. Sip of water, and then we'll talk about the French. Yes, we did another Swedish candy tasting today too. Thank you, Sakenas. Ava Wahlberg sent a huge amount of candy from Sweden. Thank you, Brock. And Damien and I did another candy tasting test of the candy, about a 10-minute one long. It was pretty funny. There was some very weird candy. It's pretty funny. It's on TikTok. You should check it out. But it's very funny. Anyway, the Telegraph reporting French anti-terror prosecutors have charged a Ukrainian-Russian man who triggered a bomb in a hotel room with plotting to commit a violent act and a terrorist plot. Thank you, Lamb Chop, for the gift. This was the story that a couple days ago, a Russian-Ukrainian man who previously served with the Russian military in Ukraine. So he's Russian, or he's a bad man, basically. He's the enemy. That he was assembling a bomb in a hotel. Now, we've got more information today because they've now charged him with terrorism. Thank you, Kolian. Basically, he was assembling a bomb, or several bombs, they now know. One of them blew up in his face. He was in the hotel associated with, or one of the hotels associated with the French, Paris's main airport, Charles de Gaulle, Roissy. And the plan was, they believe the plan was to go and basically blow up companies that were preparing military supplies for Ukraine. This is the Russians, guys. This is an act of war. The problem is the Russians get away with this crap all the time. This is an act of war. They've done it to the Czech Republic several years ago. I mean, preparing bombs at all, let alone to blow up factories on French soil, is an act of war. Frenchmen could be killed. Except, thank you, Courtney, the Russians know that we're not going to declare war on them because we don't want war. And frankly, just like Biden's quotes about their fearing escalation, and Putin feels emboldened to do this stuff. I hope, although the French are already saying screw you, which is good, right? Because the French are already now giving the Mirage fighter jets to Ukraine, and they're going to be sending the trainers, which is great. But I do wish NATO could find a way, every time Putin does something outrageous, like basically an act of war like this, where he's sending bombs to Paris, that they could find another way to one-up, basically to escalate and say, you know what? You just sent bombs to blow up Paris. We're now going to send twice as many fighter jets to Ukraine, right? Or we're going to send this weapon system, or we're going to send more cruise missiles, or we're going to make even more lax our rules on how the Ukrainians can use our weapons, but basically make them pay a price every time they do it. You know. Bash Brannigan asks in a super chat question, which, by the way, thank you for that. Could Biden war fears change if he wins election? No, no. I am convinced that this is who Biden is. And I mean, the thing is, it's not totally unreasonable, right? I mean, sure, I could see how a reasonable person worries about war with Russia. Sure, right? But clearly there is something in Biden that he checks himself. I remember I asked you guys for the word before and I was forgetting what the word was, but he checks himself. He takes like one step forward and then takes half a step back. He doesn't take 2 steps back, but he takes half a step back. And he kind of, I think his first instinct is to like do something. And then his second instinct is to go, uh-oh. Now, it could be, I mean, Deb says related to when his son died. I mean, his son the one son he was very close to, clearly it affected him tremendously. Also, keep in mind, not only did Biden's son die a couple of years ago of brain tumor, his wife and daughter died like 50 years ago in a car crash as well. So he's had some real trauma in his life. Who knows what that does to make you, what's the expression in English is once burned, twice shy, right? Once burned, like to be burned, twice shy. So meaning when something bad happens to you in the future, you learn to be like, I don't know. I never thought of it related to his family, but there is some fear factor in him. And I think his instinct is often to do something. And then his second thought is, uh-oh. But there's a caution. Exactly. It's a caution, but it's a bad caution. It's a bad caution. So the election's this isn't electoral politics. No. He's not out of his depth though. This is his expertise, Max. Biden's not out of his depth. Biden is one of the he's been one of the most influential and informed experts on foreign policy in America. I mean, he was the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. I mean, hugely, smart and whatever. I did not see that. Okay, I did not see this. So sorry, I saw one of you. A quick little thing. One of you mentioning once bitten, twice shy. Okay, there you go. Same thing. One of you mentioning Denmark, and you are correct. I decided to pull it up. The Danish Prime Minister was attacked by a man in Copenhagen. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen was attacked by a man who has since been arrested in the capital of Copenhagen. Was hit by a man Friday evening. The man was subsequently arrested. National unity. Now it's not. There's no other details on it. It says hit by a man. I don't know. Did he like punch her or something? It's not clear. Let me pull up at the Washington Post. On the street, 2 days before Dane's vote in the European parliamentary elections, was hit by a man, is what they're saying. So they're not giving any more details. She walked away. So it sounds like, thank you, Mimi Love. It was reported 2 hours ago. It was this afternoon. Or not be this afternoon. It was in Denmark. So it may have been more hours ago because right now in Denmark, it's pretty late. They're not giving any more details of it. But mind you, these are cultures that aren't as violent as ours is, so it's a little bit of a weird, just that, not as violent as we are. So in any case, okay, there you go. Yeah, did not know about it. But again, with these kind of stories, you never quite know, hey, BC and Lviv, you never quite know what motivating it. So, I don't want to jump to conclusions. He could be a crazy man, he could just be a crazy man. And clearly it could be the elections, the parliamentary elections coming on Sunday. Yeah, she wasn't badly hurt, but I think he walked up and punched her on the street is what it sounds like. And that's pretty freaky. I mean, if you're anybody, like having a guy walk up and punch you on the street, that's pretty weird, And having said that, knowing the Russians, it's possible it's a guy, a crazy guy. It's possible it's somebody who's with political extremes. It's possible it's somebody who was put up to do it by a foreign power who's trying to sow chaos. That's possible too. Again, the Russians just got caught. We are going to assume it's the Russians trying to blow up buildings in Paris. Would they put somebody up to, attack a prime minister? Yes, they would. Did they? Who knows? We don't know. Um, Thank you. Who is that? Big Hawk. Thank you, Big Hawk. A little bit more here. Oh, so this is great. Putin is backing off of his nuclear threats. What a surprise! What a surprise! So the Russians have been going like nuclear, 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 like the last month. I mean, they've been doing it the last couple of years now. But they've been going kind of crazy with all of their little like nuclear threats. Well, today Putin totally backed off the nuclear threats. Now, he was doing this at the St. Petersburg Economic Forum, where there's a lot of people from like developing countries. It's this sort of, it's weird. It's this, I mean, the Russians doing it is kind of a joke, but holding like their own Russian Davos or something, like, instead of the big economic forum in Switzerland, it's the big economic forum in Russia. And, they get a bunch of B-list countries to show up and this kind of stuff. Who cares? It's Russia, right? I mean, it's not exactly the world's best economic forum. But nonetheless, Putin, and Ash, make sure to check anyway, mods, make sure to check the muted question, the muted comments, of course, the auto muted ones. As we said, I think you guys can see them, right? So we're good. So he's backing off the nuclear threats. Big surprise. Listen to this. What was this? Sky News had it, and then also I pulled it up, I think, from Reuters as well. He says he does not see the conditions for the use of nuclear weapons. Oh, he's asked about nukes in Ukraine, using nukes in Ukraine. And he says, I do not see the conditions for the use of nuclear weapons as set out in Russia's strategic nuclear doctrine. But he added, because basically Russia's got like a doctrine, 4 different things, 4 different conditions under which they would use nuclear weapons. Excuse me. One of which is, the existential threat to Russia, like literally, the Americans have invaded and they're about to take Moscow. Even if the Americans aren't using nukes, would Russia use nukes in response? Yes, this kind of thing, right? But he says, no. We shouldn't be talking about nukes in Ukraine or nukes against the West. No one's thinking of that, right? No one's thinking of that. And he then says, but the rules could change. The rules could change, right? To me, what's interesting, he felt the need to back off. I wonder whether the Chinese didn't get to him or something, but he felt the need to back off. And by the way, Putin doesn't ask these kind of things publicly. He doesn't get asked a question about using nukes unless the guy asking the question works for him, right? Putin just doesn't get asked a question, right? At this forum. He, for some reason, wanted to telegraph to the world that, oh, no, we would never use nukes. It makes me think, like I said, that the Chinese or somebody got to him, or the Indians. And we're kind of getting freaked out a little bit by the stuff he was saying. And now he's backing off a little bit. But again, this is why I'm saying, guys, it's all just one big bluff. It's just one big bluff with these guys, unfortunately. All right. Anyway, all right, a little bit more here. Oh, yeah, he also said nuclear tests. We don't see the need for nuclear tests right now. It's like, okay, whatever. Anyway. Beep, 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 beep. I'm not too worried about it, Bernard, if that's what you're saying. Sorry, Putin's not. By the way, final point here, because I saw a number of idiots in the comments on TikTok today saying this stuff again as well. Here's the thing. If Putin uses nukes against us, we'll use our nukes against him, and they will die. That's it. End of story. The end. That's it. So if you're Putin, why are you going to use nukes against? I mean, certainly you're not going to nuke the West. We've got nukes. They've got nukes. The French have nukes. The Germans, the Brits have nukes. We will destroy Russia. All life will cease to exist in Russia if they nuke us. We will die too. That's correct. And time to go. That's my point. If you're planning on using nukes and your entire country will get wiped out and everyone will die if you use nukes, are you going to use nukes? No. I mean, end of story. End of story, right? I mean, the Russians, this is what I'm saying. It is all one big, thank you, Julius. I'll get to that in a second. It's all one big bluff from the Russians. Thank you, Martin. It's all one big bluff. That's it. That's it. And they even say, they're threatening. I love when they threaten, especially like France and Britain, who have nukes, especially. Not to mention Germany. They threatened Germany again, I think, today. And the Germans are part of NATO. They attack the Germans, we will go to war. They nuke Germany, we'll nuke them. I mean, end of story. They know that. We know that. Whenever the Russians say publicly about using nukes, they never are planning to use nukes against us, against us, especially, they're never planning on using nukes against us. Never, never. You know, they can't nuke our nukes. No, it's a very good question, actually. Sen just asked, can they nuke our nukes? That is an excellent question. That is not a bad question. No, they cannot. They can nuke some of our nukes on the ground. Not easy. Like our nukes. I mean, it's been decades since I've worked on nuclear policy. I used to work on arms control issues. Thank you, Sekenas. But, way back when I worked on it like 30 years ago, right? The nukes were in silos in the ground, and the silos were hardened. So it was like a nuclear missile in the ground. Not easy to hit that nuclear missile. The missiles would be spread out. So you would need like many different nukes. You couldn't just use one nuke to take out all the missiles, right? It's worse than that. We've got nuclear submarines, as do, by the way, the French and the Brits. We've all got nuclear submarines. They can't hit our nuclear submarines. They can't do it. It is next to impossible to find a nuclear submarine. Now, the experts tell me their nuclear submarines kind of suck, so it's easier to find theirs than it is ours. But it is impossible for them to take out all the nuclear submarines. So basically, the Russians could attack the US. They could attack France. They could attack Britain, all three countries that have nukes. They could literally kill almost all life in our countries, right? By surprising us. And our nuclear submarines from France, Britain, and America would wipe out Russia completely. So if you're Russia, what's the advantage, right? Anyway, so that's the point. Is they would have a hard time taking the missiles out of the ground. As somebody just mentioned, very hard time, like impossible time. Once the missiles are in the air, good luck. That never worked. Star Wars, SDI, Strategic Defense Initiative, blowing up the missiles in the air just doesn't work. So basically, we can destroy each other, Russia and America and France and Britain, and therefore none of us really would use our nukes. It is called the nuclear triad. I just didn't want to get into the whole thing, Morty. They're just, but I like bringing up the subs because I think, to me, the subs are the real power. They're not going to get the subs, All right. Julius, thank you for the question. Julia says, or comment, Peter the Great, who Putin sees himself as, which is true, Putin mentions Peter the Great a lot, fought a 20-year war against Sweden, while Stalin fought World War II until 20 million of his soldiers were dead. So how do we end this war when Russians just don't care about casualties? You beat them. I mean, this has been my concern. You beat them. I don't think, a couple different things, I guess, okay? I'm not entirely convinced. Thank you, Sean. I'm not entirely convinced that Putin is in a position where he can just keep the war going as long as he wants, and there's nothing anybody can do about it, right? Like, he can just go on forever. We always worry about Ukraine and the West in that position, right? How long can Ukraine hold out? They're losing men. They're getting their economy destroyed. Thank you, Kronos. We worry about ourselves. How long will the Republicans in Congress, right? I mean, the MAGA Republicans, what if Donald Trump gets elected? Right? This kind of stuff. We always worry about how long we can go. The thing with Putin that fascinates me is, first of all, he's refused to have a nationwide mobilization. He's refused to have a nationwide draft. He didn't really marshal the economy nationwide for the war like people thought he should. I say should, meaning which would be good for him. He's afraid of a backlash. He's afraid of a backlash in that country. Oh, and the dog's going to play with her toys just to mock us. He's afraid of a backlash in that country, for example, if he were to have a nationwide draft. Why? He's a dictator, right? It suggests that his dictatorial hold on power. Oh, Ash, it muted you. Wow. TikTok even muted you on that one. It suggests that his dictatorial hold on power and the support for this war isn't as firm for the long term as we think. It reminds me of the Cold War, actually. One of the things that we used to talk about a lot during the Cold War, there was a book, actually. I think it was a book or an essay written during the Cold War. And it was something like the Russians aren't really 10 feet tall or something like that. Thank you, Diana. And the notion was that, we all look at the Soviet Union as being, oh my God, it's so scary. They're so powerful. They're going to fight forever. And it doesn't matter how bad their economy is. They're just going to keep fighting and fighting. And then the whole thing exploded and fell apart. Thank you, Ulina, right? Because the Soviet Union couldn't hold itself together. It couldn't hold the economy together. We got into an arms race and we won. Thank you, Russell. Thank you, Ulina. It is just my gut feeling, but I wonder to what degree we don't overestimate the Russians' ability to hang in this war, and that basically, if the war went on another 5 years, Putin would be fine. I don't know. And the Russians would be fine. I don't know. Thank you, Sakenas. They're supporting the war right now. Thank you, Diana. But a lot of people, actually, one of the things I was going to read you today, Putin accidentally admitted the other day, thank you, Russell, for the gift. Putin admitted the other day that 5,000 Russian troops are dying a month in the war in Ukraine. That's very interesting. He was talking about Ukrainian troops and basically was trying to say how many it's a lie, by the way, but he was claiming, like 5 times as many Ukrainian troops die as Russian troops. And then he talked about how many Ukrainian troops die, which means he admitted how many Russian troops were dying. Now, if he's lying or made a mistake, it's not a mistake that inures to his advantage. It's not a mistake that makes him look good. He basically admitted that 5,000 Russian troops are getting killed a month in Ukraine. 5,000 getting killed a month is huge. In Afghanistan, the Russians lost. Who's that? Albinarbas. Oh my, your names are wild sometimes. Anyway, Albi, we're calling you Albi. Thank you for the gift, Albi. Thank you, Chazak. In Afghanistan, the Russians were there for 10 years. It was a disaster. They lost so many troops, it helped bring about the end of the Soviet Union. The Russians lost 14,500 men in 10 years. Lost meaning dead. 14,500 troops killed in 10 years. And that was considered the end of the world for the Soviet Union. It helped bring down the government. They've lost that many in 3 months in Ukraine. And the war keeps going. That's how many they lost in 10 years in Afghanistan. Thank you, Carly. Thank you, Nicholas. So it's interesting. 60,000 dead a year. We're already a year and a third into the war, right? So 150,000 dead, which frankly is kind of an estimate that I would say people have had anyway. Thank you, Russell, for the orange, right? I just kind of wonder how long they can. And again, you know what? And the other thing too, they're not the Soviet Union. It was 80 years ago. I'm not convinced they're the Soviet Union anymore. I mean, they want to be the Soviet Union. There's a nastiness there, hegemony and all of that. But, I'm not convinced. Also, thank you, Diego, or not Diego. Who is this? Also, the Germans invaded Russia. They invaded the Soviet Union. They surrounded, what was it, Leningrad, right? For 3 years or whatever. That's not happening with Ukraine. The Ukrainians have not surrounded Moscow and starving the people of Moscow, right? I mean, it's as much as the Russians support this war, it's not an existential threat to them, and they're not actually suffering. Well, they're starting to suffer. I think they're starting to see the death, right? Because you're going to see, I knew it was Leningrad. Yeah, the siege of Leningrad. Well, Stalingrad was another battle, but Leningrad was the siege, though. That was the 3-year siege. That's what I'm thinking of. It's anyway. Oh my God. Anyway, all right. A couple more stories and then we'll go here. Biden announced a new aid package for Ukraine, $225 million. Oh, and the Netherlands is going to invest 400 million euros or $436 million into a Swedish fund to produce infantry fighting vehicles for Ukraine. Excellent. Final point, and now we'll just hang out and chat. Our auctions are ending tonight. The weekly auctions end tonight. I intentionally set them up so that they're finishing right after the show. They're going to finish maybe starting at 7 o'clock, 7:15. In other words, in the next 20 minutes to half hour, some of the auctions will end, and then they're going to keep ending tonight over at Discord. Go check them out. We auction a bunch of cool stuff, mostly from Ukraine. Half the money gets channeled back to Ukraine for humanitarian aid, military aid, you name it. The other half goes to support my work because I do this full time. So please do keep the gifts coming for that too. We've got a number of cool things. Tonight's auction in particular. Oh, you can find Discord. Go to my profile on TikTok. Click the Linktree link. And one of the links that comes up, the top one, will say Discord. Go there. You guys on YouTube, go to the description of today's show. Look for the Linktree link. Click it. And again, look for Discord. Number of different things. Thank you, Stan Gunn. Thank you, Steven. My favorite thing that we are auctioning probably is this mug. It is a Russian warship "Go F Yourself" mug, as it says in Russian on the back. This is the Moskva, the Russian ship that the Ukrainians sank the 6 weeks of the war. It is also the ship that ordered the Ukrainians to surrender and told them, "This is the Russian warship. We will destroy you." And the Ukrainians responded, "Russian warship, go F yourself," which is pretty wild. So this is up for auction. Very cool. The other cool thing, I mean, there's a number of cool things, but the other cool thing is, I think it's pretty cool, the Baby Yoda t-shirt from Ukraine. This is a military fundraiser. Vlad only was able to get 2 of these because they were sold out. They were actually being sold by the military, he said. The military was doing their own like cake sale, basically. And it shows Baby Yoda, Grogu, wearing a Ukrainian like military uniform, like a bomber jacket or something, and he's got a Ukrainian military patch on. Those are those patches that we've been auctioning off, right? With the trident you see on his chest. Very cool. It is the size is between an American medium and large. Because I tried it. It's officially a medium. It's not. I tried it on. I am between an American medium and large. This is between an American medium and large. Do I support Ukraine? Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Some other stuff. We've got some cool Ukrainian stamps. We've got actually a really neat woven. Thank you, Albina. We've got a really neat hand woven table runner from the 1950s, 1960s from Ukraine. I've got a neat little pin here as well. Thank you, Albina. A cool pin, upside down, that is being sold by a charity in Ukraine. We bought it, and we're auctioning off for you guys. It's being sold by a charity in Ukraine. It shows basically a broken house with shattered glass and then the Ukrainian heart, the colors of the Ukrainian flag on the front. Each of these pins, each purchase of a pin, thank you, Albina, which we already purchased to auction it to you guys. Thank you, Stan. Each purchase finances 1 therapy session for a Ukrainian child hurt by the war. So very cool pin, very pretty. Here, just to give you a sense of the size of the pin, you can see. I think it looks bigger when I hold it up. Thank you, Adventures. But we've got a lot of cool stuff. There's also a really neat, which I'm not going to show because I'll bet TikTok will get upset, but there's a really cool spent machine gun shell from Ukraine that is probably Russian. I think it's Russian. Probably Russian. And we got a Ukrainian artist who painted it in the Petrokivka style, which is the really kind of pretty flowers and everything, very traditional Ukrainian. I don't want to show it because, like I said, TikTok is weird. They'll probably get upset. Thank you, Adventures. Thank you, Albina. Thank you, Robert, for the gifts. And Nino, maybe Nino Brown. I'm gonna guess that's your name. Anyway, I do not have a relation with Ukraine. No, I just care. Not a fan of the Russians, and I care about Ukraine. So, Russians invaded. I got pissed off in 2014. Not a fan of the Soviets. Not a fan of the Russians, because I know who they are. Studied Russian. Visited the Soviet Union. Visited Russia. Thank you, Robert. Studied a lot about the Soviet Union in graduate school. Not my favorite country on the planet. Thank you, Robert. Hey, dog. Oh, okay, she's laying down. Oh, that's good. Okay, the dog is now resigned herself to. Oh, can you guys see? I'm trying to like. Yep. Or I think so. There it is. Oh, there it is. Now you can see. There you go. For at least for the TikTokers, she's resigned herself to lying on the floor behind me, which is cute. Oops, adjusting this. Thank you, Blue Ariel. Anyway, do I think it's all Russians? Yeah. You know, the problem with Russia is how many hundreds of years have they had really screwed up governments and leaders? You know, at some point, it's kind of like Donald Trump. There are too many people in this country that support Trump. I'm not going to sort of say, oh, it's just Trump. It's not just Trump. They support him, you know? And the Russians support, 87% of Russians support like Putin. It's insane. Thank you, Albina. They support Putin. So I feel like they're very nice people, but you know, a lot of bad people are very nice people. I mean, and I've been to Russia, I've been to the Soviet Union, met very nice people, but they support really bad dictatorships. And at some point, you know, maybe the Russian government is a reflection of the Russian people, you know? It's not like, you know, some foreigners have come over and they're occupying Russia and they're not letting them. For example, Eastern Europe. Eastern European dictatorships were imposed on Eastern Europe by the Soviets. That's different, right? That was not an indication of the people of Germany or the people of Czechoslovakia, right? The fact, or the Romania, that they had a horrific dictator in Romania, Ceausescu. That was not an indication of how bad the Romanian people are. Those dictatorships were imposed by the Soviets. Thank you, Vicky. In Russia, I mean, they kind of like these guys. These are Russians doing it, Thank you, Shebug. Yeah, Sakena says, let me free this comment. Sakena says the Russians have been the same since the 13th century. Yeah, I mean, Anyway, they do need another Russian revolution. They do. And I think until they have a real revolution, they're never going to change. I think the thing is, WC, I think the Russians are the USSR in terms of the mentality. They don't have the military strength of the Soviet Union. They don't have the economy of the Soviet Union. They don't have the size of the population because all the hostage countries fled. So they lost a lot of their population. Thank you, Synthwolf. But the mindset's the same. These guys are the Soviets. They're not communists, but they're the Soviets. I mean, again, it's sort of that Malcolm Nance quote I always tell you about, when Glenn Greenwald tried to claim the KGB doesn't exist anymore. And Malcolm Nance said, Glenn, they changed the name. He goes, it's not like they got rid of it. They didn't say, oh, let's stop being super spies. You know what I mean? We're not communists anymore. Let's stop having a really brutal spy service. Please, right? They're the same people. I really do. I think they're the Soviets. In terms of here, they are the Soviets. Yes. Different political system. Political system. The Soviets had a much more brutal dictatorship and a much more efficient dictatorship. The Simpsons were right. What did the Simpsons say? I didn't see that. What did they say? Russia 2.0. I don't think it's quite Russia 2.0. This is more like Russia, 0.5. Thank you, Nicholas, for the tiny diny. Solek says it's like Russian culture expects a czar, so they elect a czar. I think so. Thank you, Nicholas. Oh, that's interesting. They said the Russians were the Soviets all along. I love that that's from The Simpsons. That's crazy. That is funny. That is very funny. Anyway, what else we got, guys? Yeah, there wasn't a ton of news today. So I hear you, dog. What is it time? No, you're not getting any. Oh my God. The dog is like begging me for treats now. Thank you, Macabre. She just had dinner an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. Like there's no way she's even vaguely hungry. And you'd think she's being starved to death, like by the treat box. She's a pound over, by the way. So I am now measuring her food. Actually, she may need some water. I'll get her water, but I'm having to weigh out her food now because she's a little overweight for a small dog. Thank you, Mad Max, for the chili. All right, you get some water. You get some water. All right, there you go. All right. Oop. I had a little story. We ran into the dog in the park today that bit Sasha 3 weeks ago. Oh, I recognized the dog and I was getting pissed when I saw it. I didn't say anything. Saw the woman again when we were around to the park and I said, was that Gigi? She said, yeah. I said, she bit my dog 2 weeks ago. Oh, I'm so sorry. So, basically I was nice. It was the dog walker that was walking the dog. I was nice, but just a quick tangent, but I said, just so you know, a lot of my friends wanted me. They bit her ear, bit the ear and was holding on to it and she couldn't let go. She was bleeding. It was bad. I was pissed. I said, just so you know, a lot of my friends wanted me to call the police and file a report. I didn't in the end because your dog walker was very nice and kept reaching out to me. And I said, I would have appreciated you reaching out to at least see how she was doing and to apologize. Sakanas, guess what the woman, and she's being very nice. Guess what she says to me? Oh, the dog walker never gave me your information, never gave me your number. Anybody who knows me, I was being very good. I was going to kill her at this point. Damien later goes, you know the answer to that. Oh, your dog walker didn't give you my phone number, so you didn't bother asking her for it, right? Anyway, I was pissed. But I told her, I said, your dog bites other dogs. You cannot let her meet other dogs. I say because in the future, somebody is going to call the police. No, I didn't take her to the vet. I almost took her to the vet, but we washed her ear. It looked good in the morning. And I decided to give it another day because going to the vet is just a pain in this town. Anywhere it is, like you go and you wait in line forever and, all of that. But man, boy, I mean, just really, oof. I was pissed. I walked away and I was just kind of like, I was being very nice though, but I wanted her to know, like, I said, they wanted me to call the police and file a report. And I almost did because I didn't hear from you. Next time, I guarantee you, it was her boyfriend. I guarantee you her boyfriend said, don't reach out. If you reach out, you're admitting guilt and you'll be in trouble. I guarantee it's such a guy thing to do. It's such a guy thing to do, right? Right? Don't reach out and apologize. I said the dog walker was ridiculously apologetic. That's what stopped me. But like, lady, it was incredibly, but imagine not just doing it. Now, Christy Noam, that's very funny, Tiff. Not just doing it, but then telling me, oh, I didn't reach out to see how you were doing and apologize because I didn't have your number. I was texting. She's a fucking liar anyway. She also knew because I made her provide me with the records of her dog's shots, which she gave to the dog walker who texted me. I mean, the woman's just a liar anyway. No, the dog, I was freaking out. The dog finally let go. I mean, I was so freaking out, I didn't even know what to do. In the future, I swear to God, I'm going to kick the fucking dog that does that in the future. I swear to God. I mean, my dog was literally standing there saying hi to the dog walker and your dog ran up and grabbed. It was horrific. Anyway, the trauma. I'm fine now. Thank you, Poppy. But yes, running into her in the park, I was like, oh God. Anyway. All right. Any case, that's funny. Aussie says, my ex-girlfriend was very well informed by The Simpsons. It's where she got her news. My dog's a Yorkie Bichon. Her dog is clearly like a Shih Tzu mix. Small, overweight. I mean, her dog's fat, which should not be at that. Small dogs should not be fat. Her dog should be like a 10-pound dog. Her dog looked like it's probably 13 pounds. I mean, not good at all. And again, probably explains why the dog bites other dogs, but well, what I was told was you should grab the tail in the future. You didn't say what to grab, Deb, but they say to like grab the dog's tail or grab its back legs, which good luck grabbing them. But man, I'm telling you, oof, Anyway, enough of that. I don't want to. The dog thing got me, but it got me very upset seeing her again today. Thank you, Annie. So, Anyway, enough of this. Yep, raise in the air. That's exactly what I had read. Yeah, you go and grab the dog's legs and pick them up. Métele el dedo. What do you do with the finger, Jose? Like poke it, you mean, or what? Well, that's what I mean. It's butt, exactly. It's afraid of the butt. I mean, I know what Jose means. He says it works if you kind of put a finger, and it works, but I'm not sure like what to do with that finger. I know you grab by the hind legs. That I know. Yeah. I do not carry a gun. No. I don't blame you, Danik. I don't blame you. Anyway, wash the finger. Yeah. Anyway. Well, yeah. Well, you don't want to use pepper spray because she was like face to face with my dog, right? You'd have to go behind. But anyway, oh my God. I don't want to talk about it. It was freaky. Yeah, that was crazy, Chris. That was just freaking stupid. I saw that story too today. Yeah. Anyway, what else, guys? Oh, sure. Yeah. Solak, I think we're agreeing. I'm reading what Solak was saying about the Russians and the Soviets. Bottom line is the Soviets were Russians. The Tsars were Russians. The current Russians are Russians. Putin's a Russian. It's all the same people. Yeah. Gabriel, I am liking the Swedish candy. It's been a daily. We're on video 3 today. I did a new video, a 10-minute video of the Swedish candy today. It was interesting. There was some weird stuff, but it was very good. Vlad, you're reminding me. I need to send Vlad a message. Actually, last time he was going to join us, I'm going to send him a message. Folks are asking if you can join us tomorrow, Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. He was going to join us last time and his internet died or something. Because he said I was waiting. He said I was waiting to join you last time, and I think maybe the internet died and he didn't know it or something happened. Yeah. Anyway, but yes, hopefully he'll be joining us tomorrow. UN stories? No. I just told a dog story that got my blood pressure up enough, Russell. Not telling a UN story that'll get my blood. I went to a kind of a reunion thing. Not a reunion, but kind of a reunion barbecue for my graduate program at Georgetown last weekend. And it was interesting because I met this woman who worked at the UN. And oh my God, we started to share stories. Young, maybe 30, 35, I'm not sure. Brazilian. And any case, it was I'm not going to give details. I shouldn't give any more details, but she had similar experiences and feelings to me, which was interesting. There's another rocket launch. What's that about? Another one? I've not been paying enough attention to the rocket launchers. What rocket launch are we saying? You are not getting a UN story. 750, whose time, Russell? SpaceX? Oh, that's interesting. I do like watching the rocket launches. They're fun. 7:50 Eastern time. Okay. Anyway. Well, the bigger problems for the Chinese. Randy's asking if NATO can bring troops into Ukraine, why can't the Russians bring in the Chinese? He can if China wants to risk, trade embargo. I mean, that's the thing. The Chinese can't risk it. I mean, Putin can do whatever he wants, right? I mean, there's no rules of what Putin can and can't do. It all just depends on what the ramifications are. I don't think there's any ramification to Putin if he brings in the Chinese. What are we going to do? But what'll be interesting is if the Chinese, I think Chinese troops there, I don't think China wants troops in Ukraine. Exactly what Deb said. China cares about their economy, contacted by the Russians with an offer to spy? No, but when I was working in the U.S. Senate, there was a KGB guy at the Russian embassy. I was doing arms control and issues, among others. Kept coming by my office and trying to get me to go to lunch with him. And I mean, honestly, it was like meeting a pedophile. I mean, literally, I don't know what else to compare it to. You just kind of meet the guy and you're like, I'm not touching you. I don't want to be talking to you. You're trying to be nice because he's a diplomat. I mean, he's a diplomat. He says KGB. He wasn't a diplomat, but with the Russian embassy, and you're representing the senator. So you're being polite and businesslike, but you're not going to have any no conversation with the man. He kept wanting to meet me. Oh, you're new. I wanted to say hi. And I said, yeah, I've got to get to work. Nice to meet you. We should have lunch sometime. And I think I looked at him. I said, I'm really busy. Because what are you going to do? I'm not going to say yes. Well, I checked with the Senate security people, and they said, oh yeah, I reported it, of course. By the way, this is also what pisses me off about Donald Trump, because again, all the stuff that Trump and his people did with security was horrific. I had a top secret security clearance, code word clearance is very high up, arms control, etc. Similar to exactly the clearances that Trump had on the top documents he had. I mean, I wouldn't have had the right to see the documents, but I had the same clearances. And I, as a 25-year-old kid, knew on the job, a new security clearance. I knew that as soon as that freaking Russian contacted me, that Soviet contacted me, Jeremy, I immediately called the security people. And said, this Russian's contacting me. I wanted you to know, what do I do? And they said, oh, we know who he is. He is KGB. He was not cute either. He is KGB. And they told me, they said, next time he comes, don't talk to him. Just don't talk to him. Don't take his calls. If he's in the office, just don't. I said, okay. So I ignored him and he finally left me alone. But that's the thing, is like, it's what the Trump people did with security with the Russians. It's not rocket science. It really isn't. Thank you, user 336. I don't know what is ITAR. What is ITAR? Don't know what that is. Well, but I also wanted them to know, Michael. I mean, I wanted them to know because I thought this is really weird that this clearly KGB guy keeps like not hitting on me, but right. And I was like, A, I want advice, and B, I need to report this because something inside of me, thank you, Jonathan, something inside of me said, report it. You know what I mean? Make sure they know this is happening, right? And also, I mean, to protect me, to protect the office, for Senate for the security of the U.S. government, so they know what the Soviets were doing. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not rocket science, which is why it pisses me off when people, have these security lapses. It's not rocket science. Did I get a raise? I did not get a raise. No. I don't even think I think I told my chief of staff. I may have written the boss. I think I probably did. I'm sure I probably wrote a memo for the senator, because that would be the kind of thing I'd say, you know what? I should just let him know the guy keeps coming by, and that I talk to the security people just to make sure. But yeah, the Soviets, lovely people. International traffic arm regulation. I still don't know what that means, Max. Traffic in arms regulations. What is, but I don't know what it means in this context or whatever. Depends. Well, Daniel, your wife could be a spy. Sure. Depends what you do for a living, but it's happened. They're called honey traps. I doubt your wife is a spy, but she could be, sure, because that's what the Russians do. Anybody can. That's what I mean. Anybody can be, but it's literally called a honey trap. The Russians, we all do it though. The Russians are famous for it, but we all do it. Where basically they send a girl or a boy, depending what your tastes are, or depending if you're a man or a woman, and they try to get you involved in a sexual relationship, or they try to get you involved in an embarrassing relationship, like having a sexual affair outside of marriage, or a gay affair, right? If you're closeted and nobody knows. I mean, but they try to do something to compromise you. But they've also done what the Russians have also done. But again, we would do it too. They will establish relationships with people. There was something recently in Europe with this. They will establish relationships with people to try to meet other people. So marry you or date you or whatever, because your work is interesting and the people they could meet through you, but again, all of us do that. Honey traps are something we all do, I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, if you're stupid enough to fall for it, whatever, thank you, Joker. It was good. I mean, John S. asked, what are my thoughts on Biden's visit to France and his words of support for Zelensky? They were very good. Honey pots. I mean, could I call it a honey trap? Sorry, honey pot. Yeah. It's not a honey trap because that doesn't mean anything. Yeah, honey pot. A pot of honey you put your hand in and all of a sudden you're now covered in honey. You're right. No, Biden did very well, I thought. I liked it. Honey trap. Well, Daniel, honey trap can be your drag name. Honey Trap Reyes. The TV show The Americans was wonderful. It's a very good show, actually. The Americans is a wonderful TV series from the U.S. It ended several years ago. It's about 5 years of it, I think, 5 years maybe. It is based on not a true story, but it's based on reality in that the Russians have sleeper cells in America. They still do. They did during the Soviet years. And they would have families that they basically put in American society, French, everywhere else too. And people thought they were Americans. And the show is called The Americans, but they're actually Soviet spies. It's a very good show. Very good. I may watch it again. It's been a while. The actors are excellent. Both of the guy and the women, the man and the woman, both, actually a number of them. The man and the woman are great. The daughter drove me a little crazy. The kids I thought were kind of weak. The daughter I couldn't stand. But the man and the woman are great, the top actors. And the woman who's their KGB handler is a pretty famous American, Margot, what's her name? Pretty famous American actress. She's amazing. She's particularly good, but the Carrie something is the woman. And the guy, I'm forgetting his name too. Anybody wants to Google, you can maybe put it up and I'll tell people. Just to check. So Ash, I just want to check, but you're seeing the comments that are running by, like M. Grand's comment that's muted. You can see it, right? Just because I've been sort of undoing the comments, I want to make sure you guys can see them. Oh, is it? I didn't. Oh, okay, fine. That's fine. Okay, as long I just wanted to make sure. Thank you, Mel, for the gift. Margot Martindale, that's her name. Thank you, Julian. God, she's amazing. Carrie Russell is the woman, the lead woman, and the guy's name's funny because he's British, as I recall. Is he British or Australian? He blew me away watching him interviewed. What's his name? The husband. And he's hilarious because his accent is very kind of really good American regular guy accent. And was interviewed and he's this like properly educated British guy. It's very funny. Thank you, Maddie. Oh, he's Welsh. That's what it is. Welsh. He's Welsh. I was going to say he's British. I remember him having a funny accent. I don't think he's Irish. I think he's Welsh. Matthew, what's his name though? Google it though, so I can tell people what's his name. He's really good. I mean, the lead actors were amazing in that show. Reese, I'm going to say RHYS. Yeah. Really good actors. It's a wonderful show. It's called The Americans. You know, I'm sure you can find it on Netflix or one of the Apple TV something, right? Oh, and she wants to come back in. Come back in. It's on Hulu? Okay. I have to pick up Hulu again. I mean, I've got Hulu. I've got like a subscription I got for free with my phone. I didn't see Justified. But now we're talking TV, which is fine with me because you know I love talking TV. What else? I just started, just for fun, I watched, it's a 1-year series. It got canceled on Amazon called Night Sky. A little weird, a little bizarre. It's famous actors, Sissy Spacek, and the guy who is the actor in the whatchamacallit. He's in the Farmers Insurance commercials, the Academy Award-winning actor. And they're very good, but it needs an editor. It's only 1 year, so I was a little bummed out. It's over. I do not know Justified. I will check it out. I wrote it down on my list. J.K. Simmons. There you go. Yep. Will you stop? No. She's back begging at her treats again. Oh my God. Hey, Simon in Sweden. The Swedish candy is good, but I will say it's a little sweet. Hey, Vicky. Damien and I put up a new video today, a 10-minute video of trying the latest candy. But it's, I like chocolate. So a lot of the sweet candies that are like sugar candies are not quite they're good, but I'm going to send some to my mom. Actually, I think I'm going to, because she loves that stuff. She loves like jujubes, jelly beans, licorice, like all that kind of stuff. I think of my mom because she's Greek. I like chocolate. So they're very good. I mean, I got chocolates too. I'm still waiting to do videos on the chocolates. But they're good candy. But it's so sweet. Like I like sugar, but I eat several of them and I'm like, sweetened. But they're very good. But the Swedes have been loving it. It's been very funny. Thank you, Scott, for subscribing. The Swedes have been very funny. We've gotten a ton of Swedes coming to TikTok to watch my candy reviews of the Swedish candy. It's the funniest damn thing. And they're all like, oh my God. One guy from Spain was like, I've lived in Barcelona for 10 years. You just made me homesick. I do like sour. Some of the candy is not too sweet, but some of it's it's sweet. You know what I mean? The chocolates are excellent. There was some weird licorice powder thing today that it was like salty licorice powder. And they make them those things we would have in America. We have like those straws, the paper straws that you rip the top off and you pour it in your mouth. They look like that, but they're small. I thought it was licorice because it's black and whatever. It's like super salt. Exactly, buddy. I thought it was like a pixie stick. Exactly, Carol. It's a pixie sticks, but it looked like it was a licorice because it was in a thing of licorice Ava sent. So I opened it up and it's literally salty licorice pixie stick. So that shit fell all over the place. Thank you, gang. Barry, for the rose. The stuff fell all over the place. And I was like, I mean, I have no idea it was going to be powder. I tried it like this at first, expecting it to be bad. It was pretty good. I did not want to chug it. Some of the Swedes were like, you're supposed to pour it in your mouth. There's a limit, but it was actually very good. So I mean, I liked it. It was good. I did not finish it because, as I've told people, I just lost like 6 pounds, and I'm determined. I still eat sweets and stuff, but I'm determined if I'm going to eat sweets, I'm going to eat like chocolate and stuff. And I'm watching like how much we are talking salmiak. That's exactly it. Yes. Somebody told me that was the name, and I Googled it. Salmiak. But it was good. It was very different and strange. Yeah. Thank you, the Ukrainian Lisa. Hi in Swedish is hey. Hey. I know that. Trick question, Joel. Can you say hey in Swedish? Hey. No, the funny thing, in high school, we had Swedish exchange students at my in my area in Chicago. And I remember the only thing I remember her teaching me in Swedish was how to say go to hell. And I think it was dra åt helvete. I just remember dra åt helvete. That's all I remember in Swedish. How to say go to, and the funny part is I was like 15 or 16. I don't know why to this day I remember this, but I know nothing else in Swedish. Well, you got me worried though, Joel. I don't want to repeat stuff that's like, oh, I like Swedish candy. Okay, I was afraid you got me saying something perverted. Jag. The problem is I don't know how to pronounce it. Jag gillar svensk godis. The problem is also the accent, like jag gillar svensk godis. I don't know. I've not studied. Is that close enough? I've not studied Swedish though, so I don't know. How to pronounce things correctly in Swedish at all. That's the third thing you learned in French. That's funny. Yeah. Danish what? I like Danish candy. Oh, okay. Jeg? Is it jeg or ye? Maybe. Elsker? Jeg? I'm going to guess it's jeg. It's probably ye. I'm guessing. Jeg elsker dansk sleek. Dansk sleek. But again, the accent is hard. And because to us, it's interesting the way you guys do your your full name. Well, Joel. Again, in English, we'd say Joel, but I doubt that's what it is. Joel. I'm going to go Joel. Joel Ostenson. Joel Ostenson. Because I'm going to guess that the L goes into the O, probably, like Joel Ostenson. Something like that. What? You guys are funny. They've got me trying to say everything here in ye. Is it yeg? Yeg? Like, I'm just not sure what the pronunciation is. J-E-G. I'll have to have my computer do it later. Yeg elsker deg. Yeah, again, the accent is what gets me. I love your guys' accents. All the Scandinavians. Thank you, Tom, for the gift. Is good enough? Okay, good. Yeah, Finnish, God only knows. We never really meet Finns, right? I mean, honestly, I don't meet a ton of Scandinavians in Washington. Washington's funny. Washington's a very cosmopolitan city, but you don't meet foreigners, which is the weird thing. I mean, you meet a lot of Central Americans who have moved here, but you don't meet like foreigners from around the world who have come to Washington to work and everything. You do not meet them. It's like two different worlds, and it drives me crazy because like that's how I studied. That's like my world, and it's all the time I've lived here. I feel like I've been in this bubble away from the international stuff because it's just like two different worlds, Alec is asking a fighting question for the Scandinavians in the chat. I hear that Finnish food isn't that good. Is it true? Ruh-roh. We may have a Finn here. I don't know if we have a Finn. We don't have a lot of Finns who come. That's a dangerous question. Let's see what people say. Oh, cool. Okay. Cool's a Finn. So, Pedro, you're a Finn too. I forgot about you, Pedro. So Finnish food, does it get a bad rap or something? And now is a Swedish Finn. Okay, we have several Finns here. Does Finnish food get a bad rap? Don't know. I would have loved to have joined the CIAWC. Are you kidding? Yeah. I always forget that. So Gunther says that, sorry, Florian, thank you for the gift. Gunther says that Finland isn't a part of Scandinavia. I often think of it as being Scandinavia. That is true. I think of the 4 countries. No, I guess it's all Nordic. That's right. It's all Nordic, but it's not all Scandinavia. Is that the difference? Yep, Nike. Well, somebody was asking in the chat on YouTube, because we're on YouTube as well right now, and said, is it, I've heard Finnish food isn't that good. Is it true? So I said, okay, Finns, what's the story on your food here? You know, um, now is saying Finns have a few oddball foods. That's it. Your aunt was in the CIA during World War II. And Julia, well, we think maybe Julia Childs, right? Or she was with the precursor. Thank you, Nauseous, for the hearts. Finnish food, pretty simple, nothing special, says Samiflix. The Finns are Arctic Hungarians. Oh, that linguistically, that's interesting. Kalimera Florian. Oh, Alexandru. We talked about this before. I keep thinking you're Romanian or something with your name. We talked about this. Yeah. I'm forgetting now what it was, but I remember us talking about it before. Oops. Pickled herring. I'm not big on pickled foods. No. Estonian Finns and Hungarians originated from Siberia. That's interesting. What would Finns suggest to try the first time in their country? Meaning food? You're like, what's a Finnish food that we would all like? I'm going to guess some kind of fish or seafood, or no? That's an interesting question. Uh-oh, Amanda. Is this a joke or is this serious? Amanda says, do you know why Swedish warships have barcodes on them? This sounds like a bad joke. I don't know. Oh, no. What is it? So they can Scandinavian. Oh, God. That is a bad joke. At least it's not an offensive joke. Oh, that's cute. In Danish, slik means both candy and luck with an I instead of a U. Oh, sleek and sluk, maybe? Or what's the pickled? I'm not a pickled guy. I would not want pickled stuff. Oh, you're Romanian. Okay, yeah. Only because the Alexandru is last time I remember going, that looks suspiciously Romanian. Thank you, Nauseous, for sharing the live. Oh, Joe. Thank you, Joe, for sending the 5 subs. I did not see it because it never shows me. Thank you for that. And thank you, Aviation, for the gifts. Remember, folks, sometimes people have bought gift memberships like for a month. You can get a free gift membership from other people. So if by chance on TikTok, if you see your name has a little box that says SNN in front of it, that means you've got a membership either you paid for or a gift membership, which means you can join our special show tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock Eastern Time US on TikTok, YouTube, and Discord. Same thing for the TikTokers. If your name is green, well, the blue are the mods, but if your name is green, you've got a membership that you can join us tomorrow morning as well on YouTube, either because you paid for it or because somebody gave one and you got it for a month for free. Thank you, Poppy, for the gift. Lithuanian language is one of the oldest languages in Europe. Well, that's interesting. Sakenas, I did not know that. I've not heard Baltic languages spoken. I'd have to think about that. I don't know that I've ever heard. I don't know that I've ever heard it. Now, Maddie, the only problem is I don't think you can buy a gift for a specific person. I think people buy the gift and it automatically, the computer gives it to somebody. Unfortunately, they don't like it. You can't give it. It'd be nice if you could do it either way. I don't think you can. I don't think people can sponsor. I don't think so. It'd be nice if you could, to be honest. Yeah, Ash says you cannot buy a sub for someone in particular. Too bad. That would be a nice idea, actually. Swedish Chef and the Muppets. Oh, yeah. I remember asking the Swedes about that. They did think it was funny. The Swedes actually found the Swedish chefs very funny. I don't think so, Spongy. No, Spongy asked a good question. Do you think if Ukraine dropped the NATO demand, Russia would back off? The problem is, I don't think Russia invaded to stop Ukraine from joining NATO. Ukraine has been trying to join NATO since 2008. Thank you, Russell. It's not happening anytime soon. It's 2008. It had been 14 years, right? Thank you, Timothy, for the gifts. 14 years, right? Nothing was happening. The problem is Putin wants Ukraine. This is not a defensive move. He wants Ukraine. He didn't attack Ukraine because Ukraine did something. He attacked Ukraine because he wants to annex Ukraine. Thank you, Russell. Initially in 2014, he wanted to annex Crimea, the territory in the south, very important territory culturally, but also significantly because of the port that's there. And going after Eastern Ukraine, similar things. He wants all of Ukraine. And he said it, by the way. I mean, Putin has said repeatedly, the Russians have said repeatedly, they do not believe that Ukraine is an actual country. Thank you, Be Nice. They think the Ukrainians are. I remember reading this at the beginning of the war from a Russian, and I think they'd said on TV, in Russian TV, the translations that are done. And the Russian TV commentator said, basically, the Ukrainians are Russians who are just confused. They think they're a nationality, but they're confused. And we are going to educate them about the fact that they're really Russians and they're going to join us. They want to wipe out the country. Now, this is also a leftover of the Cold War. It's a leftover of the Soviet Union. Putin especially, but a lot of the Russians are very upset that, look, they were big and bad during the Soviet years. Now they're kind of a joke, right? I mean, they've got nuclear weapons. They can cause hell on the battlefield, but Russia's not, the Soviet Union was a world power economically, culturally. Russia, right? Economically, it's not a world power. I mean, they've got the 11th largest economy in the world. That's great. But you know what I mean? It's the Russian economy. What do? The only reason the Russian economy is that big is because of oil and natural gas. That's it. You know, John McCain, a Republican senator, once famously called them a gas station with nukes. You know, Russia is simply a gas station with nuclear weapons, he said. So their economy isn't that great. Culturally, what have the Russians done in the last 30 years, right? Technologically, no, right? America, sure. Technologically, Asia, sure. China, sure, right? Europe, sure. Technologically and culturally too. Russia? So like the Soviet Union dissolved, and a lot of Russians, Putin included, got very upset that they no longer had the great power and the world no longer feared them, and they want the Soviet Union back. Meaning they want Ukraine back. They want the Baltic countries back. For starters, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. They want parts of Poland back. So, you know, so the problem is there is no peace treaty that would make the Russians either end the war, or if they ended the war, not come back. They'll come back again and they're going to invade again because they want all of Ukraine. So, which is annoying. Sasha, I love you, but you got to wait. She's whining here. She's whining. No, our country's having some issues too. But culturally, culturally, we're still a powerhouse. I mean, America's got a lot of problems right now in terms of the political culture, right? But culturally, we are a cultural powerhouse. I mean, American culture in the world, come on, right? I mean, whether you like it or not, our culture is incredibly powerful around the world. But again, it's not just American culture. European culture is still, everyone's culture is great. I'm not going to knock anybody's culture. That's not what I mean. But I'm saying in terms of having an outsized and an over influence, like an outsized influence, America has a huge influence for one country. Europe has pretty huge influence for individual countries as well around the world. I don't even know. I couldn't compare, Alec. I just don't know enough about the 60s and 70s, so to speak. Alec was asking if American politics today is worse than the 60s and 70s. I just don't know. I just don't know. I think it's also hard because, it's hard to perceive the way things are today and the way they were, like even times that I lived. I can't think like the 1990s even. Like I was working in politics in the 1990s, but I'm not sure in my head I know what politics of the 1990s was like in terms of civility. Like, I don't know. I just don't know what that, I don't know. Now is 2024 says no former president was convicted of felonies in the 60s and 70s. That was just dripping. I can feel the sarcasm dripping from that comment. Could Russia resolve like the USSR? I'm not sure what you mean, Michael. What do you mean? I think they're turning into the USSR in terms of becoming a greater and greater dictatorship, the civil liberties, the hegemonic notion of taking over their neighbors. They're they're kind of resurfacing again with this Soviet mentality. Um, you know? Oh, oh boy. Anyway, what else, guys? Maybe a couple more things, and then I'll do. Actually, we're almost been an hour and a half anyway. Um, and then I'll do a quick summary, and we will call it quits. No, magical. I don't think so. Magical asks, does it mean anything to Ukraine that a few Russian military vessels are docking in Havana? No. The Russians. Thank you, Jeremy. The Russians are as part of the ongoing Putin, oh my God, I'm going to nuke you war. They decided to like have some military exercises or send some ships to Cuba to, remind us of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Well, let me remind you of the Cuban Missile Crisis. What happened in the Cuban Missile Crisis? The Russians effed around and they lost. America stood up to them and the Russians lost and they caved. So, I mean, even there is something pathetic sometimes about Russian foreign policy, right? I mean, because literally the Cuban Missile Crisis, they lost. The Russians lost. And they're sitting there going, aha, remember what happened last time? Yeah, last time you lost. That's what I remember what happened last time. So I'm supposed to be scared? It's just again, they're trying to scare people. That's it. They're trying to scare people. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Thank you, Puppy, for subscribing. I hear you, dog. I will be giving you a treat in a minute. She wants me to brush her teeth. I brush her teeth and she gets a treat around this hour. So I hear you. I don't know about the Russian people, Daniel. I mean, I've been very curious. We had my friend Marion about this. I forgot what she said. We'll have to ask her again when she's back one of these days. My friend Marion is like super Russia expert. And I wanted to thank you, Shebug. Nugget, the problem is I'm not sure how, can I send you a gift, a Blue Wave hat? I'm not sure what you mean. You mean like a gift on TikTok kind of thing or a real hat? Thank you either way. But Marion I remember asking her this and I forgot what her answer was about, why don't the Russian people rise up? Or is there any threat of them rising up? Oh, a real hat. Oh, that's sweet of you. I mean, the only thing is, thank you, Cheryl. we were talking about this the other day. I don't really have a P.O. box because the U.S. Postal Service screws up P.O. boxes. They have to keep delivering mail. Hey, Suzanne in Sweden. They have to keep delivering mail so that I kept getting all the crap from all the people who owned the P.O. box before me. And the post office expected me to, for literally 2 or 3 pieces of mail a month at most, they expected me to go there like 2 and 3 times a week to the post office to empty out the box. And I was like, bull, I'm not doing that. What's that about? Wait, is that a thing? Did somebody do that? Or is that because I raised my finger that YouTube did a thing? I always forget if that's it is. I knew this. YouTube has a thing. I knew it. Oh, hey, Chechen. Yeah, hopefully we get you guys free one of these days. Were you guys on YouTube able to just see that? YouTube has some Easter eggs. And I forgot about this. When you do certain things with your hands, it'll do things on the screen. And I kept thinking you guys were doing it because sometimes it would show balloons and stuff. But I just figured out I went like this with my thumbs. And look what it does. It's showing fireworks going off behind my head when I lift both thumbs. That's funny. Now, one thumb, let's see, on YouTube is doing a thumbs up. Thumb down is thumb down. I don't know. I'm trying to do other things on YouTube now. That's not doing anything. Okay, maybe. Does that do anything on YouTube? No. There must be some other hidden tricks. Somebody's got to tell me what they are. The balloon thing has happened before, and I don't know what the balloons, hands in the air maybe. I don't know what the balloon things were on YouTube. Yeah, there's some other tricks on YouTube. Heart hands on YouTube. Yeah. Heart hands. Okay. Heart hands. It's not understanding. Oh, there we go. It's showing little hearts. Cute. The peace sign. We're kind of sorry you guys aren't seeing. Oh, the peace sign is the balloons. Okay, the peace sign is the balloons. Clap. That's not doing anything on YouTube. No. Okay, so the peace sign are balloons. Let's do two peace signs. Oh, we get confetti when you do two of them. You do one of them and you get balloons. You do two and you get confetti. Oh, this is funny. We're learning. It's like learning a foreign language here. Sorry, you guys aren't getting any of this. You can make me do tricks. The heart hands. Oh, the heart hands did work. You said, yeah. Very interesting. Did Pat Sajak have his last show or did he die? What do you mean he's gone? Jump on one leg? No, thank you. Good try though, Marcy. No, David, there's no way. No. I mean, it's the Republicans. His last show was today. Oh, I didn't realize that. Wow. Yeah, my mom always watches that show. I would always watch it when I was home in Chicago or when I'm home in Chicago. Oh, wow. Exactly. So very cool, very fun stuff on YouTube. So we've learned many YouTube. I'm going to have to remember though, which is which to, that's balloons. Okay. Oh, that's right. And two of them is confetti. Okay. Gonna have to remember it. This is not going to be easy to remember the various, there we go. That's a great one though. That is a great one. That's pretty fun. I'm not giving the middle finger. No. We could, how about the Vulcan thing? Come on, some geek at YouTube. How is there no Vulcan thing? Come on, YouTube. Oh, that's bad. There's no YouTube thing for doing the Vulcan greeting. That's like an obvious one. Come on. How do you not have that? All right. Ryan Seacrest. Oh no, it is not Ryan Seacrest. Give me a break. It's really Ryan Seacrest. This is an American game show. And this guy's been doing it for 30 or 40 years. Oh God, please not Ryan Seacrest. Oh God. That's horrific. Oh God. I can't stand that guy. Thank you, Sakenas. I've never understood why people like him. I've never understood. I'm doing quotes on YouTube. Oh no, it thinks it's the peace sign. That's why it thinks it's the peace sign. It's the Mac. Wait a minute. It's not YouTube. What are you talking about? It's my Mac doing it? No way, Bjorn. Really? But you guys are seeing it though. Wheel of Fortune's played around the world. I did not know that. You are not getting a UN story. No. Nope. I just find him annoying personally. He's just annoying to me. I don't know. All right, let me do a quick summary of the news here. All right. And then we'll be back tomorrow morning. Vanna, we like Vanna. I'm sure they're paying Vanna. I find him phony. That's exactly it, Tom. I find Ryan Seacrest phony. I don't like the phoniness of him. I just find him totally phony. It's goofy. Like it just doesn't appeal to me. Okay, let me do a quick summary of the news, and then we'll be back tomorrow morning for all the monthly subscribers for our weekly show. So do check that out. Several NATO countries have agreed to send military instructors to Ukraine in addition to France, according to President Macron today. Political reports that on a recent phone call with President Biden, French President Macron proposed sending Western forces into Ukraine to train troops in the war zone. And Biden was not supportive and was very worried about escalation. Bloomberg reports that Germany is considering sending a fourth Patriot missile battery to Ukraine, which is a big deal and very good. The Telegraph reports that French anti-terror prosecutors have charged a Ukrainian-Russian man who previously served in the Russian military in Ukraine with triggering a bomb in a hotel room. He was plotting to commit a terrorist act against French companies supporting Ukraine. Sky News reports that Putin is backing off of nuclear threats in Ukraine and also overall, or he did today at the Economic Forum in St. Petersburg, Russia. I forgot to tell you, Putin also backed off today on the threat to send weapons to America and Europe's enemies. He was claiming that, well, if you're going to give Ukraine weapons that you're going to let them fire into Russia, then we're going to give weapons to your enemies that they can fire into you. Yeah. Thank you, Luis. Everyone pretty much had a hearty har at that because the Russians have no weapons to give. First of all, the Russians have been giving weapons to our enemies for 80 years. North Korea, North Vietnam, right? The Cubans, the Iranians. I mean, like, this is not new. So for them to say, aha, look out. But also, they're still doing it with Iran, to the Syrians, to Hamas, terrorist groups. The Russians are supplying all of them for terrorist acts. So big deal. Final thing is, whose weapons exactly are the Russians planning on giving to all of America's enemies to fire at us? The Russians don't have any weapons. The Russians are in real trouble in Ukraine, in part because they're even having trouble with their weapon sales abroad now because they don't have enough weapons. So anyway, Putin, after threatening it, said, "Oh, but I'm not doing it yet." Yeah, we know you're not doing it yet because you have no weapons. But as I said, everything is a bluff with these guys. When they say they're not going to do something, that's when, well, which he kind of just did, so who knows. Putin accidentally admitted that 5,000 Russians are getting killed in Ukraine every month, which is a big deal. Biden announced an aid package for Ukraine worth $225 million, and the Netherlands will invest 400 million euros or $436 million into a Swedish fund to produce infantry fighting vehicles for Ukraine. And our auctions are ending tonight on Discord. Some of the auctions have already ended. We've got more. We've got, I don't even know if it's finished yet. We've got the really cool Ukrainian coffee mug from Ukraine, product of Ukraine. It is the Russian warship Go F Yourself. It says in Russian. Very cool. We've got the Baby Yoda t-shirt. We've got a Ukrainian military shell. There's probably a Russian shell, actually, painted by a Ukrainian artist. That's very cool. Lots of cool gifts. Some handcrafts from Ukraine from the 1950s and 60s. A beautiful table runner made by hand. A lot of gifts over at Discord. Check it out. They're literally all ending tonight. Mustard had suggested, thank you, user 336. Colonel Mustard had suggested I have all of them end like at the same time at night, which gives people a chance to like go during the auction, etc. So go check it out. You can check out our Discord community by going to my profile on TikTok, look at the Linktree link, click it, and then the top link will say Discord, click it for you. And then once you click, if you're new to Discord, once you click, I accept the terms or whatever, look in the left-hand column for the auctions. And for the rest of you, go to the description of my show on YouTube, click the Linktree link, same thing. Look for Discord and click through. And go buy, because half the money goes back to Ukraine and half the money goes to support me to pay my bills, which is a good thing because I do this for a living. So thank you guys. Thank you, user 336, for sharing the show. I'm going to go. We've got our show tomorrow morning for the paid subscribers, paid monthly subscribers. Join us. 2 thumbs down is a rainfall. Thank you, Louisa, for the hearts. Thank you, Super Hornet. Appreciate all the gifts, guys. So 2 thumbs down is a rainfall. Oh, that's funny. You're right. Yeah, 2 thumbs down on YouTube, at least on my Mac, causes a rainfall. That's very funny. That's very funny. 2 horned finders should make lasers. I don't know what that means. I'm not sure what that means. Tabby, tell me one more time, and I'll what that is. 2 rocker horn hands. I don't. Oh, like this? You mean? This? You mean? Nope, no lasers. I don't know what a horned finger is. Oh, this maybe? Oh, this stuff is crazy. You have to see on TikTok. It's crazy, the stuff. Now, does one do anything? This stuff is very funny. That's yellow in sign language. Oh, that's very funny. One more time with the lasers. That is the funniest thing. Wow. I've never seen this before. I read about this at one point and I forgot about it, but I wasn't thinking it was during the lives like this that it would do it. I was doing like the surfer thing. Exactly. That wasn't working. If you put your thumb out, it means I love you. Well, it's because we're just trying to get this to work right now. Yeah. All right. Anyway. All right, guys, I'm going to hang up. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you, mods. Thank you, everybody. That was very cool. I love that. That was, or for teams, that was very fun. All right, guys. Thank you. I will see a bunch of you tomorrow, our monthly subscribers, 11 o'clock Eastern. Otherwise, I'll be back Monday, 6 o'clock Eastern. The show is basically Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern US. So, all right. Thank you, everybody. Oh, the dog is getting whiny. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. All right, whiny dog.